I think perhaps it makes sense to start off with a few introductions first. So everyone already knows who I am now. So do you want to head us first?
Yes, I'm Marcus Nilsson. I'm a product owner for observability and monitoring in PostNord. We have a small central team. We're 2.3 people to be more exact. So, yeah.
Okay. Sunita.
Thanks for having me. My name is Sunita. I'm a solution architect at Amazon Web Services based in Stockholm. I've been with AWS for around 5 years. And I think many of you know what AWS is. It's a cloud platform. I'm here to share some of our observations and insights on observability space from a cloud perspective. Thanks for having me.
All right, Sarah.
Yes, my name is Sarah. I work as a sales executive at Kanari, meaning that I take care of our customers and potential new customers. And Kanari is a partner to Grafana, and we work exclusively with observability and digital employee experience to help bring value about those tools to our customers.
All right, fantastic. And as you have the mic, I guess first question to you then. So we'll start off with the main one then. You know, why is observability important? You know, in your case, you know, to your customers.
Good question. I would say that observability is important to our customers because it provides a holistic view of their complex IT environments that otherwise can be a jungle to navigate in. It ensures operational efficiency to them and enables them to make data-driven decisions or even risk-based evaluation to decision-making, meaning that you look at the real data that actually matters. And observability helps our customers to do that.
Very good. Sunita.
For us, it's twofold because for AWS itself, observability is a very important one because our customers trust us. So we have to make sure all our services are performing optimally. And for our AWS customers, providing the necessary tools for their systems to be up and running and making sure that how they avoid any risks or any impacts. One of the example that I could give, for example, Amazon Retail uses AWS. It's backed by AWS. I think many of you might be using Prime, Amazon Prime. PostNord is here, so we also have a good collaboration in Sweden. Just to give you an example, last year when we did Prime Day, we observed or we monitored about 6 trillion log events per hour just on the Prime Day. So if we don't have that type of observability landscape, it's very hard to have that kind of maintenance in our place.
Yeah, without a mature observability program, no one's going to be going through 6 trillion log events an hour.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's very important to have observability to know how our systems work in production, basically. I mean, if we don't have observability, we're flying blind. And I mean, we have, for example, sorting systems. If they're down and we can't sort and we don't know what the issue is, people get mad because they won't get their parcels, of course. And it's very important for reputation building. And I have another example. We had an incident with master data that wasn't propagating properly. It was corrupted. So when people were checking out in the web store, they could only choose one point to collect their parcel, and that's of course not good. So if we could have noticed that much earlier. This was 2 years ago, so now we have better observability thanks to Grafana and the Grafana Cloud that we're now using. I mean, people would just choose something else in the checkout, and so hopefully we have reliability as one of our value words within PostNord. So that's where we can, from the IT side, contribute with good observability for our IT environment.
Nice. Yeah. Few things are as frustrating as a system not behaving properly, and you go to the status page on the site and it says everything's green, and you go, no, it's not green. There's definitely something wrong here. Anyway, so I guess question to you now. Once again, you have the torch. What were some of the biggest challenges that you faced on the observability journey you've been on so far?
I think what was addressed here in, I think, was the first talk when talked about cultural change and things like that. So, I mean, we started out with having a central, like Nagios-based metrics OP5 first for more like business flow overview. For example, all the systems being involved in parcel sorting. And we had some infrastructure, but the teams, they would have to go to the central team to have some of the applications being monitored. So it was quite it was a fragmented landscape. Some teams use their own tools, and we wanted to establish this central platform. And I think the culture change, as you said, like you have the platform ready, and then bringing all the developers in. How do you do that? So we had Grafana stop by a couple of times, and we had Grafana days, and we were talking also to having workshops with the product owners, that they would be more interested in these kind of prioritizing these non-functional requirements, so that the teams would have to produce. I mean, observability. To have a system that is observable should be like a basic requirement. But the product owners aren't necessarily that. They're more interested in to get the features out for the business and produce the value that way. But they can just as if they don't know that their service is producing the value, then there's no use. So they need observability. So we had workshops to them to explain sort of why it is observability important for you as a product owner. And I think that helped to make the priorities in the teams as well.
Yeah. Showing the value back to them that they will get from observing their applications and their environments.
Yeah, exactly.
On the challenges, I echo what Marcus mentioned on the culture. It has to be in the basic foundation. But some of the challenges that I've heard from our customers, or first, just to give a general observation, even though we have so many proactive, state-of-art possible solutions out in the market on the observability, there are so many customers who are still performing reactive approach, and that leads to having paying a lot of money for that. Another thing is, one customer says, we have a lot of data, I don't know what to do with that. We want to create meaningful insights. Well, you could use tools and services to create more business insight from it. One of the things that I want to emphasize also, which touches on the challenge as well, there has been a misconception sometimes, or has been overlooked, that observability is mainly just for application monitoring, which is not. You have it also plays on the business side, right? Deriving meaningful insights which impacts the business. For example, if you're running an e-commerce website, how many number of users that have been using, why there is a sudden dip, and why there is a very good performance at certain season. All these kind of things you can get through some observability tools. So more on the reactive approach that I have been hearing from the customers on the challenges side.
Nice.
I guess I'm going to talk about the challenges of our customers, because our challenges in-house is different. But the main challenge I hear when I speak with our customers, but also just organizations in general, it sort of touches on what Marcus said with the cultural aspect. So the main challenge I hear is that it's actually man-hours spent finger pointing, trying to get the root cause of the issues, rather than working on something else. So getting people together and working together has been the main challenge when I speak with customers. It's very rarely the technology. Everyone is like, technology works great, it works as it should, but the people is the biggest challenge. And I also want to add to that a lack of resources and knowledge internally becomes a big challenge. So observability takes a lot of time. If you work with it now, it takes a lot of time to adapt and to know what works best for your business. And I see that observability gets a bit overlooked in the whole business area. So the ones working with it see the value, but it gets overlooked in the business. And in that case, it doesn't get prioritized. So it doesn't put enough resources into it. And that's needed to succeed. So I see that as a big challenge.
Yeah, making sure that you've got the business buy-in to really invest in observability, because without that, you're already kind of hamstrung from the beginning. I also like what you mentioned about the challenges with finger pointing. I was chatting with a customer towards the start of the week who is on a big program at the moment to improve their whole incident response experience, to try and get to sort of the point where the first team that they point, that should be the team where the problem actually lies, not the team that sort of on the surface it looks like things. And one of the metrics they're looking at is basically sort of how many people or how many teams or how many different hops there are during the investigation to actually figuring out what the root cause is. And if that over time they can get that process to be more and more efficient, then that will be for them. That'll be a really significant win.
Yeah, a lot of people or companies play the blame game too much and spend time on that. And if I'm allowed, we actually had a customer a year ago that had a big incident, a big customer in the financial sector, where they had a downtime or an issue, and 100 people got called into a last minute Teams meeting to find out what the issues were. I'm not joking, 100 people into a Teams meeting to find out where the issue were laying, and everyone was just finger pointing, and they spent time on that. And to brag a bit about us, we were the only one that could find the issue within 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something there on like the size of a war room. Like the more people you have in a war room or incident room or something like that when something happens, possibly the more time you should be investing in your underlying observability platform, because it should be giving you good indicators of where the actual real challenges lie. Great points. Okay, so we'll switch a bit from that side of things now to kind of talking a little bit about how folks are organized. So, how do you generally see your customers organizing around sort of the observability platforms and observability space?
In a dream world, the customers are organized where they have one observability team that runs observability across the organization. In reality, majority looks a bit different. It's more organized as siloed monitoring teams still. So they might have observability in place, but it's still silos with different monitoring tools. Where observability works the best when you can get these silos to look at the same set of data and talk together, all the way from IT to developers to operations and management and everything in between, that they look at the same set of data. As Kanari, or as us, we are more organized around our vision and mission as a company and as a partner to observability vendors. And our vision being to be the thought leader within managed observability, and our mission to make observability data valuable to our customers, to not only be looking at metrics, but also turning that data into actionable insights and actions. And so we are structured around that. We're 45 people at Kanari, and we're just focus on that. And the 3 areas we have organized around those, that vision and mission, is applied observability, digital employee experience, and then advisory, where we advise around those 2.
Excellent. Sunitha, how about your customers? What's the breadth of organizations you see there?
It depends on different type of customer. For example, enterprise, they organize in a different way, having a center of excellence team. Sometimes mid-market customers, they just have developer team. Sometimes when I talk to the management from the customer, my developers will take care of monitoring and observability as well, which sometimes can be missed, like, for example, alert fatigues and those kind of things. So it depends on different scale of customers that how they have been organized. That's also part of how my role, wherein I have to enable them with the right set of tools and practices mainly, which also covers the culture part that we have been discussing before.
Excellent. And with PostNord, how are you organized today?
As I said, we have this central team. Then, I mean, nowadays when you have, we want to make a seamless solution for the developers to just as part of the platform thinking. So we have sort of you could say a virtual platform team where we have the Kubernetes guys, and then we have the they're also involved in the observability platform, because we don't send all our data into Grafana Cloud. We use Grafana Cloud, but we also have our own backend storage in the Kubernetes clusters, just to offload some of the things that we send to Grafana Cloud to keep it cost optimized. And we've also been using the adaptive metrics and not so much adaptive logs yet, but so we're trying to be specific when it comes to what we're sending to Grafana Cloud to keep the budget in a good shape, basically.
Yeah, I think the thing that I think everyone's sort of called out a little bit in their own way is that it's a journey. Like all of these steps, no one starts out with, oh yeah, we're just going to build a center of excellence from scratch right from the very beginning. Like it always starts off from, well, whatever you've got. If all you've got is a group of developers and a couple of them know a little bit about sort of monitoring and observability, then that's what you start off with. That's the kernel that you build from. And while having a center of excellence might sound very grand and imposing, it's really, in my experience, a lot of it is just about adopting some core centralized practices that are shared, having a shared belief of what observability means across the organization, and whether that is distributed across a few observability champions across the organization, or it's all in one group and you've got champions elsewhere. It's that shared vision is what really matters.
Yeah, we also have champions in the teams, so as part of raising sort of the maturity levels, because our teams are quite different in that regard. Some teams are very advanced and they use observability and have been doing so for a long time. So we wanted to first of all have everyone appoint an observability champion for their team. And then we sent them on this on a Grafana foundations course in December last year, and then we have continued now monthly to have meetings where the teams get to showcase what they have been working on, present their observability solution, so that others can learn something and we can share between the teams and get sort of the engagement around this area going. So I think that has been key also to raising maturity.
Nice. Okay. So next kind of question really is about how do you make some of these decisions? What are some of the criteria that you look at when you're choosing, whether it's tools, platforms, partners to work with, those kind of things?
Do you want me to continue?
Yeah. Unless you want to hand it off.
No, I mean, yeah, I can. I mean, we started this journey like 3 years ago, thereabouts, and we wanted to have a platform that could unify everything because, as I said, it was a bit scattered and fragmented before that, and a platform that was well known, a technology that people were already using, Grafana, for example, within some teams in PostNord, and it's open source. We didn't want to end up in some proprietary solution costing loads and loads of money. We had a few of those criteria that sent us on the path of Grafana, and we did a POC together with some teams, and we checked most of those boxes that we had, and now we're trying to, and then we went on this journey of, okay, how do we get the developers on board, as I said, and try to merge everyone onto the platform, and that took a year or so to really get people going. And then we migrated what we had in OP5, for example, to Grafana. So the people who were looking there before, they went to Grafana now. So we had a new home for that, or for everything, basically. So yeah.
Excellent. All right. Now, Sunitha, like where is it that you see AWS being successful in these kind of conversations? What are the sort of the values that organizations get from working with you?
On choosing,
when it comes to choosing the platforms, choosing the tools, which to adopt, that sort of thing.
I mean, developers love our platform, right? Because we are building blocks. You bring in any open source technology, use our infrastructure, and rest is history, like how you want to take it forward. Even though we have specific services for each and every, should I call it as domain or specific areas, we always first ask what customer is trying to solve, then we work backwards from that. It doesn't start from technology, it starts from the challenge that you want to solve, and then choose the technology wisely, like which services that you want to pick.
And for Kanari?
Yeah, I would say it's the same that you mentioned, Sunita, that we start not with technology, but rather the business goal. And when we come to the stage to choose a tool, we look at 4 main areas when we choose a tool for a customer, if they don't have a preferable one. The first is like the core observability functions in the tooling, like monitoring, alerting, and tracing. The second one is the ease of use for the intended user. Like, is it an intuitive interface? Is it accessible features? Or what has this person worked with before? Knowledgeable. The third one is the ease of integration to other tools in the observability stack. So we look at how it supports APIs and plugins. And the fourth one, I think I said 3. The fourth one is that we also look at performance, how it performs, certain gaps or potential improvements.
Nice, excellent. All right, so now I'm going to ask you to pretend that rather than being a microphone, that this is a crystal ball and you're able to see into the future. And where do you think observability is going? What do you think are some of the next kind of changes that we'll see in the observability ecosystems?
That's a good question. If I look into my crystal ball, I see a lot of developments in observability, so it's hard to choose one. But I'm going to go with that I see now, especially when we speak with customers as well, that we see observability being more and more integrated with security. So security being a very big topic today. with a lot of different regulations and other stuff. We see observability and security coming more and more together. And even in the future, to create a more full stack cyber resilience, to get like real-time threat detection, forensic analysis, and all that stuff. I see that as the biggest part.
Yep. Smith, how about you?
I think we already saw a preview from one of the demos earlier. I think Richie one showed us using LLM. It gave you the contextualized remediation steps because it was hard to understand just to look at the traces. But then this leads to think about you don't have to rely every time on a specific team. If any security incident that has happened or any type of concerns that you want to remediate, instead of picking that specific person, just looking at the troubleshooting steps and the remediation that it gives, step-by-step things that we get from LLM, anyone should be able to go and rectify it, right? So that's one thing that I could think of on the buzzword these days with generative AI. I think it has become in our vocabulary. The other one is when we think about proactive approach, it's also how we can make it more agentic, like self-healing. Of course, it's hard to make it zero touch, even though people mention we are trying to aim for zero touch. I slightly disagree on that. Maybe less touch, like maybe use less number of hours, or minimize the time in order to remediate those things. So.
Yeah. I think that one's particularly interesting because we hear developers using generative AI tooling, for example, and then spending much longer looking at the PR request because they're not quite sure they trust it yet. So yeah, we'll see how that continues to develop. But yeah,
I think what we're trying to do right now is to get more of those tracing spans in that we've talked about earlier, that you want the whole chain, an end-to-end chain. So instrumenting for everything is one of the things that we're looking into right now to achieve. And then I think also using profiling that we can then connect it to the actual code. And I also was a bit fascinated about the prospect of having a bot going into the actual code and make the PRs for how to optimize the code based on what it could find. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, I, for example, am an absolutely terrible developer, and I've found generative AI to be genuinely very useful to clean up the garbage that I tend to produce on occasion. But so if we're looking at this, we've had so many different conversations today. What would be sort of the one recommendation that you would suggest that folks sort of take on board when they're sort of considering their observability journey?
Well, I think it is to you have to have buy-in. Of course, you need to go both from top down and bottom up, and to get in contact with a developer team, for example, that is really into observability. Get them on board and then show something quickly to the leadership team. This is what we can achieve, and it actually has real world impact on the customer experience, and that makes them very interested. And then you get the culture change stuff. As I said, you bring Grafana there, and you have some interesting seminars. Maybe the champions thing, I think, is really important, to have one in each team that can be a sort of a knowledge center for that team that they can go to, and they can assist others, and also bring the POs on board, as I also mentioned earlier, that they would actually prioritize things like observability and not just features for the business. So yeah, that would be my recommendations.
Excellent. Sunitha, how about you? What are your recommendations?
It depends on the personas as well to whom I'm giving. But mainly, I mean, developers, we are all, you guys, or we are always updated on the tools and services that is in the market. But for me, I want to address more on the management side, C-level executives. It's a mindset change from what happened. Instead of thinking about what happened, go for what if this happens. Ask certain questions to your IT team. Well, is our system ready enough to, if there is any outage, that are we prepared enough for that? So ask those kind of questions, that then you will have, right tools and services in place for someone who starts on the observability journey.
Fantastic. Sarah?
Yeah, my big tip goes back to the challenge with the people. So my tip would be to really get the people together and create a strategy and vision and a crystal clear goal of where do we actually want to go on a business level, and then scale down to, okay, what do we actually need to do today? Because observability to me and to us is more like a mindset and a way of working, and and you need to have those strategies and processes in place to actually succeed. Because we see a lot of companies like getting the observability tool, and then it goes 1 year and it has just been sitting there and no one knows what to do. And what you have mentioned a lot today as well, like getting the buy-in. So really start with the people and create the same strategy. And so everyone knows also what's going to happen, because that also happens. The people are like, whoa, what is this? What are we going to do now? You did something. So get everyone on the same page. So you're working towards a common vision and goal. And that's actually where companies comes to Kanari as a partner to Grafana to get help with, as an independent curator, get help with where should we start with strategy and processes. So we help the customers and the companies with the strategy and everything from people, like collecting everyone in the same room and having interviews, to processing and tooling to their desired state of goal, because everyone is different and need different things. And we actually have a lot of customers that went from a siloed monitoring team and are now working in a fully scaled observability mindset and processes. But that also took time. Like you mentioned, it's a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So remember that as well.
Yeah, that phrase, it's a marathon, not a sprint, is one of my favorites, and I use it all the time. And it's absolutely true, especially with things like this. So please give a round of applause for our panel here.